Welcome back. We're going to do a variety of jig streamers today. And then, if we have enough time, I'd like to do, I've never done this before, but something articulated. That's the goal. So, we'll start with a fly that I think is just uh, a basic one, and that's the frozen fox. Just fox fur and then iced up on that jig hook. So, let's zoom in here. I think, yep, that's a good angle. We'll start with a 4 mil bead on a size 6 jig, not big. Just something that can be fished anywhere, everywhere. I don't like to carry two rods when I'm fishing, so I can go in between a dry fly and a streamer, and this one I've had success kind of switching back and forth. I also don't dedicate like full days to streamer fishing. I like to work upstream with the dry and then maybe work back downstream with the streamer. And that's just my preference. Having the streamer rod or a dedicated streamer setup, I've tried it before. It gets a little bit clunky carrying two rods. Some people carry three rods. Not my style. So we'll start with just a little thread here. Then we'll get our fox ready. Here's our fox. This one is kind of gray, nice color. I usually keep the guard hairs in, but I feel like I've been keeping too many guard hairs in, so we'll try to thin it out just a bit. We'll get a good patch. Yeah, this stuff looks nice and long and soft. And we'll tease some of those guard hairs out this time. But really simple. Just a tail and a body. All it is. So we are holding the fur by the butts here, and we'll just thin some of those guard hairs out. Not all of them, just a few. So we have our guard hairs and we have our fur. All right, and then the next step we'll do is we're going to thin some of that under fur out, the real soft stuff. And we'll set that aside, and we'll trim the tie-in point just a bit, just for management's sake. And then we'll tie it in. 2 loose wraps. Let's work the material around. That looks good. A little bit too much fuzz on the tail. But the fox flows very nicely in the water. Yeah, I think a little bit heavy, but we'll just ride with it. We'll make the next one thinner. Instead of doing I'm going to do a mono loop just because you can get more tension with the mono loop. So I'm going to cut out a small piece of monofilament and tie it in as a loop. And tie in the loop, come back around. Here's the loop. You want to anchor the loop. So wrap the thread a couple times around the loop and then continue to tie it in, and that anchors the loop. You need a tool to spin. I use just a little paper clip or a little, you could use a hook. Where's my paper clip? we'll use this shank. We'll use this old shank I made. So just any kind of metal with a hook on it you can use. We'll add the hook, and then we need to blend some fur, a little bit of fox. For this bunch, you want to take out all the guard hairs. Just gets a cleaner result. Let's take out all the guard hairs here. Set those to the side. Most of the guard hairs. And then we'll blend it with iced up pearl. This is just a woolly bugger with fox tail, fox body. Blend it. Let's stick it in our loop. In the loop, and then we'll spin it up. Spin, spin, spin. Spinning, spinning. Almost ready. You can tell when the loop is ready, when the mono starts to furl on itself, then it's ready to go. There, perfect. All right, next, I'm gonna pick it out. So just start picking out your material, picking it out. You could wrap and then pick, but the picking would be more difficult. At this juncture, the picking is easy. Pick, pick, pick. And remove some of that excess. And then wrap. The rotary function on the vise is useful for the wrapping. For this body. Wrap the body. Preen. Wrap, preen. Wrap, preen, wrap. That's enough material, so we're gonna go ahead and tie it off. And then we'll just let that hang. Anchor it down, trim it out. Now pick some more. And brush it back. And this is the frozen fox. Yeah, simple. Let's go ahead and whip finish it, and then we'll start on another one. You can never have too many of these. Dead drifting them, stripping them, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to bother putting eyes on this one. I don't really think it needs it. Okay. The only thing I would change is the tail is a little bit heavy. But it has a shape. So it'll work, but a little bit material heavy. Let's start Another one, the frozen fox. You could tease some of that. Yeah, maybe I'll pull it out, thin it out. And that's better. All right. Next one. Get a bead. Next one. So there was the Egan. Yeah, we'll do this one. Kind of copying the Egan's poacher. It has the zonker strip, so we'll do kind of zonker strip. I'm thinking an olive. I have an olive bling strip, but I'm gonna thin it out. So let's get the bling strip. If I find the white bling strip first, we're just gonna do white. That might be useful later. We'll keep that. Oh, this stuff. This is a giant calf tail. This one, you can do some crazy stuff with this. We'll keep that one out too. I found black. Yeah, maybe black would be good. I know I have olive. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is a zonker strip, but it has a metallic back, and they call it a bling strip. But I'm gonna split it because I don't need all of it. I don't need all of it. So I'm gonna notch a point. I'll show you after I'm done notching. Okay. And it doesn't matter. You don't need a point on it or a taper. And I think the bling is just adhesive, but I'm gonna run a razor down the middle to try to split this. I like a little bit thinner look. There's a lot of rabbit on the bling strip. So a little bit thinner gives it a little bit cleaner, and then maybe it'll help it swim better as well. So just scoring it with the razor, not trying to go through all the way. Just get that cut started, scoring. Okay, so I just scored it, and then I'm gonna slowly start to separate it. I'll kind of try to show you. And I need to cut more. Scoring. Oh, not so clean. Yeah, there it goes. So it's split. And if you do a good job scoring, you can just kind of slowly start to separate it. It just kind of rips apart. Ideally, you want a clean rip, but you might have to come back. I'll finish it with the scissors. There we go. So now you can tie 2 flies with 1 strip. There's always a question whether the zonker should be upright or kind of facing down. Landon, the Myers jig leech has it facing up like this. And we will, yeah, let's try to do that. If you use the thicker piece, you could pierce it. We might be able to pierce it. Yeah. And then you can just kind of tie it in that way. Okay. Feed it through, slide it on. There, it's on there. Oh, I wonder if anyone would ever tie like a wacky rig, the wacky jig. That's a great idea. The wacky. Okay, so now it's on there. Let's start our thread. Different color, go with white. We'll just go with white. But I think maybe an olive would be better. Olive thread would be better for this. Okay, trim the tag. I'm gonna swoop this back so I can tie cleanly here. And this is now our body. Wait, yeah, we want it like this. So the bling strip is facing up, and then the fur side is, I'm sorry, the bling is facing down, the fur side is facing up because the fly will ride inverted. Let's go ahead and trim off a little bit of that underside just for make it a little bit more manageable. I'll trim that off, and then we'll tie it in. A couple of loose wraps. I have to knock off that tag as well. Yeah. Now we'll tighten it down. Knock off the tag. And secure it in. Egan's poacher, I think, has rubber legs. Maybe not. But we could do some kind of rubber legs coming off the side. That might be cool. But we just want some body material and then head material. The fact that we split the strip, we could wrap the strip as the body. There's lots of patterns like that. A lot of sculpin patterns have the body wrapped. I think I don't do it. I think it's a little bit too material heavy. You could just dubbing, using a dubbing technique, loop technique. I think you could get the same effect. The more material that's on this, the slower it's going to sink. And the fact that we threw a 4 mil bead and then having the whole body wrapped in rabbit is counterproductive. Like, why would you do it? It makes it more difficult to cast. It doesn't make any sense. So what makes the most sense would be to have a slim body. We have a slim tail, and then maybe rubber legs to give it volume, and that will sink well. It'll have a lot of movement. So that makes the most sense. Slim body. The slimmest body would have a wrap. And so here's some mylar tinsel. I'm going to use red just to give it a little variation of color. And then I think it'll look cool. So we'll wrap the red mylar for the body. And then, yeah, let's wrap this for the body. rush this. Yeah, I'm rushing it, so my wraps are not good. We gotta work on that tie-in point. Okay. Wrap the body. Oh, too fast. Our wraps are not clean. If you really were in a rush, you could just marker the body red. This is not perfect, but it'll do. And now let's give that a trim. I'm going to take the time to coat it. It'll give a nice looking finish, and then this is just nail polish. Give it a little coat. We will have to wait till that dries, so maybe we can start on another one while that's drying. It'll give it a nice finish. Yeah, let's tie it off and we'll start a new fly. Come back to this one. Oh, something's going on with my thread. Getting a little frayed. Put this in a clip so it can dry. We'll clip it, and then we'll set it right here so it dries. We'll come back to that one. We had our olive marabou. We could do something with this, but my ambition was to do like some kind of articulated jig. Do I do it? Has anyone tied a game changer articulated on a jig hook? I've not seen it. I'm sure it's been done. We could try to do a 3-piece kind of game changer style on a jig hook. To me, that sounds pretty ambitious. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm going to use a bigger jig. I don't know if I have bigger beads. But I think we would have to add some weight because the game changer has a lot of material as well, which now I'm contradicting myself. We tied the slim fly. Now we're tying it. This is a novelty. This is the fly you fish when you've had such a good day. Let's start on the shanks. So it's just going to be a 3-piece. So we'll want one small, one medium. I think this is 0.8 millimeter wire. We're just going to eyeball the length. So let's trim out some wire. And then I'll show you how to make a shank. So you want 1 point up, and then you want 1 to the side. This is going to be our medium, it seems like, because it's quite large. So 1 is pointing up, 1 is pointing to the side. And then you can kind of wrap it around something and press it down. Just squeezing it down also works, but we'll try to get a good wrap. So that's one side of the shank, like so, and then we'll press this side down. Oh, this is too long. We gotta trim some of that off. The other one's a little bit long too. Maybe take a little bit of the other one off. It'll work. And then if you had strong thumbs, you can just thumb it. Squeeze it down. We'll have to work on this a little bit. I'm getting a little cockeyed. Yeah. So one of our sides is way too long. It's coming over the eye. Let's take a little bit of it off. Okay. And just make sure everything's pressed down well. And the shank is straight. The 4 mil wire or 8.8 mil wire is pretty malleable, but when you double it over itself, and it's tripled over itself because the 3 pieces, it becomes quite strong. And then if you wrap it in thread, it becomes even stronger. It's not going to bend. So that's one shank, not perfect, but it'll do. And then one more, but I don't even know. Yeah, we'll do one more. And this one is just going to be a tail section. So I'm not even going to bother putting the second loop on it. I'm just going to bend it in, then close it up. Close it up. So those are our shanks. The loop is way too big. So I'm gonna need to work on that, close that up a bit. Yeah. You could fold this back over itself if you wanted to kind of strengthen, create a bulge on the end. That might help so the thread doesn't slip. Okay, here we go. I'll trim that out. Okay. And flatten that out so the thread doesn't get cut on that edge. Those are our shanks. Let's try to squeeze that point down a little bit. Yeah, there it gets a little tighter. Buying a shank might be easier. I don't know what shanks go for these days. All right, that's good enough. This is what we have. This will be the 3-piece for our jigged game changer. Regular dubbing for the game changer might be too heavy, so maybe we do feathers. A feather changer is hard. Oh, what am I doing? I should be tying on the shank. What? Yeah, let's tie on the shank first. A feather changer. Jigged feather changer. Oh, that's not even, but it doesn't matter, I guess, because it's not perfectly vertical, horizontal. Yeah, there's a little knob of metal that kind of is sharp, so we have to cover it. I think it's covered enough. Feather changer. look good. These are olive saddles. We could use those, but I think we can find something better. Grizzly saddles. I think we can find something better. This might be it. So the saddle hackle is very webby, and it'll also have a lot of material buildup. But a pheasant rump, the feathers are less dense, the fibers are bigger, and there'll be less material buildup. So we're going to try to do it with the pheasant. What makes the feather changer hard is each section has to have a different size feather. So the bottom section has to have a small one, top section has to have a bigger one, etc., etc. And I don't know how well these pheasant feathers will wrap. You don't get a lot of wrappable. I guess we could also do like the softer part of the feather as well, but you just don't get a lot of wrappable material. Yeah, we'll try with the softer. I'll tie it in. So if you tie in this way versus tying in this way, it does impact the way the feather wraps, but you can usually kind of preen it, manipulate it back. Do I need like something taily? Yeah, maybe I need something taily at the end. We'll do just a clump of this. So this is a CDL feather, and we'll just use the clump. No, that doesn't look very good. Something furry at the end. Yeah, maybe this will do. Try to use a bunch of this. Some butt fibers. Let's use the butt fibers. I'm gonna double it up because it never looks good. The tail section of a game changer never looks good because people usually go too light. So I'm going top and bottom to get it. This is just aesthetic. I don't think this impacts the fishing. So I have top and bottom sections for the furry pom-pom at the end. Yeah, the shank needs work. That'll work. Okay. Now let's try to wrap this guy to make our first section. Oh man, I think we slipped out of the vise. Not good. Get back in there just for a minute. Okay. I'm not going to use a hackle plier. I'm going to wrap and then hold. Wrap and hold. If I can, I would like to get one more wrap in there. That's maybe as good as I can get it. Okay. Let's clip that butt off. I'm going to try to get some kind of movement going back, so I'm going to push and then create a third dam, try to get that material sweeping back just a little bit. And it's not going to be perfect, but just a little bit would be better than nothing. Let's tie it off. Oh, the you could close the shank gap, the shank connection point. You could close it with the thread, and that is helpful. That was terrible. What the heck? We might have to just cut that. We got one wrap in there. Put a drop of glue. Okay. Okay. Now let's move on to the second shank. I think we're gonna need 2 feathers for this part. And yeah, shanks are not very good today. But again, I think this is just a novelty pattern. Let's try to close that. Thread tag's a little long, a little bit wasteful. Now the feather picking is important. We gotta pick the right feather. So it has to be slightly bigger than the last feather we had. And I'm gonna need 2 of them because there's more space. There's 2. Let's trim this and then give it a cut. And then we'll wrap it. Tie it in. Give it a wrap. I'm getting about 2 wraps per feather, which is not great. And got it. Tie it off. Maybe like 3 feathers. And then swoop it and try to get a little taper for the body. And tie in the next one. Maybe even bigger than the last one. Can it be done? This is a shorty. Okay. Tie it in. Wrap it. And go. And definitely we're going to need 3. I'm trying to get all the fibers released. There we go. Well, it certainly would look better if there was 3, but yeah, let's do 3. Let's do one more. Okay. Give it a trim. And tie it in. Oh, I didn't swoop it. I didn't swoop that back section. We'll swoop this one. Oh, lost it. Separate those hackles. Separate the hackles. That looks okay. Tie it down. Trim the end. Because this is, I already see what the problem is going to be. Because this is a 3-piece, it's not going to have like a nice, it's just going to be like a clump of feathers on shanks. I don't know. I think you really have to swoop to try to get those feathers lying flat to get any kind of body shape. But we'll go with it. Oh, we lost it. What the heck? But we can do it in our hand. I'll do it in the hand. In the hand. Okay. We'll drop super glue and then we'll move on to the next section. So that's what we have so far. A lot of feathers for about half an inch of body. Oh, and our thread came undone. That's okay. We can salvage it. We just gotta hold it down. Turn it off. Okay, now we can put the hook in. There's no flash on this fly, which that's okay. I'm gonna do a thread tying for the articulation rather than mono. This is a Kevlar thread. The tie-in connection doesn't need to be super strong because it's not load bearing. And I don't want a ton of buildup on the body, so I'm not going to do with the mono. I'm going to do with the thread. And then it also doesn't need a bead. So let's get started here. Do I double the Kevlar thread or single wrap the Kevlar thread? Let's double it just to be safe. We'll try to get one. No, it doesn't matter. So we'll try to get both on one side and then we'll come back and tie it in on the other side because our tail sits vertical. Yeah, we're gonna go like vertical, not horizontal. If it's horizontal, then we go top and bottom, but vertical will go side to side. Okay. trim, going vertical, loop it in, and then try to get it on the side there. Yeah. And then we'll go right up to that tie and make that connection tight. So maybe horizontal would sit better. I think this thing's just gonna roll around. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Now, how many feathers is it gonna take to make this body? Yeah, definitely adding another section would make it look 100% better. And then the tail is too stubby. Like the tail fibers would need to be, a quarter of an inch longer. Not good. But I do have some longer fibers for the body. We got to find at least 4 or 5. But the problem with these long ones is there's not a lot of stem. They're not going to wrap well. So I think we loop it. I think we do a material loop. I'll show you how to do this. So this is the feather I'm working with. This feather is not going to wrap, but I can still get these long fibers if I, this would have been good tail. The tail fluff would have been perfect. Slim Jim. Yeah. So this is a piece of foam. It's slitted. I'm pressing the feather into the foam. And now the fibers are all poking up. I'm going to clip it, and then I'm going to trim out the fibers. I'll make a material loop. I'll just use the thread, and then we'll piece it together like that. It'll be time consuming, but the wraps will be cleaner because the stems I'm using are not very long or strong for the feathers that have longer fibers. So this would be the only way to do it. Let's clip it. And let's trim it. And let's split it. Split the thread. This is a waxed thread. So this thread is not good for this. Waxed would be much better, but can we get a little split? I don't want to keep tying in bunches of mono. I think we have to change the thread. Let's change the thread. This is a nightmare. Let's change the thread. Change the thread. Ideally a 140. This is the first 140 I found, but it's fluorescent yellow. I don't care. Let's thread that through. Thread that through. It's going through. Didn't go through. All right, got it. All right, we'll start with this new thread. And we have our material already clipped. So we just got a split. The problem with the last thread, it was that it was waxed, and if you split it, the split doesn't run very far, not far enough to, but this thread is unwaxed, so it splits much better. And with material, a little wax on the thread would be useful. We're not going to do it. I'll just slip it and then try to get it as close to the 5 as possible. Regretting not waxing. And then the butt should be down a bit, just so we can maximize the length of the fiber. Spin. And then twist it up. Spin, twist it up. Let's preen a little bit. And then we'll start wrapping. Wrap it. Preen as we wrap. Preen as we wrap. Okay, there's one feather. We didn't get much. We didn't get very far up the hook. How many feathers is this going to take? The only way this is going to look good is if those feathers are lying flat back. I think if commercially sold, this fly would cost like $50. A lot of material. Try to get, yeah, that's good. All right, we'll start on next section. As I want that thread to unravel so we can wrap it again. Let's, one nice thing though is the color is quite nice with the pheasant. You know, the pheasant feather has such nice natural barring and spots, and it looks good. So I'm pleased with that. It didn't get much from this feather, so I'm going to double it up. I'm going to put 2 feathers in this clip, or find a better feather. So we'll do 2. And we'll got our foam splitter. Press the feather holding the stem and then the tip, and then just press it into the foam, poking the fibers up. Then we clip it, trapping the fibers, release the foam. Whoa, oh, that's not a good clip. There we go. Then we trim the feather. This is, it didn't get much. Now we split our thread. I'm not going to do it like touching the wraps. I'm going to put gaps in it because the material is going to be lying flat. You're not going to tell that it's completely wrapped. Or you could, so the materials in the split, you could try to thin out the material to get more real estate. Try to distribute that material through your loop. Having some dubbing wax would be better to kind of grip that material as you slide it around. That's good. Spin up, preen a little bit, and now we wrap. Yeah, I'm gonna have a gap like a shank, the same distance as the shank, but the material will still look uniform because it's all lying flat back. Hopefully, we might be seeing bits of gaps of chartreuse in the body. Which might not look so bad. Oh, try to get those fibers lying flat. Okay, so if we continue with our theory, then we'll do one more. I think about one more, if heavy, one more heavy, maybe 3 feathers, heavy, and that should be enough. From my angle, it's coming together. I think from your angle, it looks a little bit wacky. Like, could it catch a fish? 100%. You'd be catching fish with this. Is it worth the time? Maybe not. All right, this is a beauty feather, 2 beauties. And then what else do we have? Oh, this is a beauty. No, that's not a beauty. I'm just sorting through the skin here, trying to pick the right ones. I think I got some beauties. So I got these 2. They have nice long fibers, a little bit sparse, and then I have these guys a little bit shorter, a little bit thicker, and I'm going to use all of them. I'm going to put all of them in the clip, and then I'm going to spin all of them up. So the head is very material heavy, and that will be the end of this crazy experiment. So preparing the feathers by swooping the material down so the fibers are sticking out, and that's so I prepared one. I'll prepare the second one. This is a nice brown. The first one was a little bit olive, so we're gonna a little color differentiation, which is always nice. And then I'm gonna set it on top of the previous one we did, and then we'll do this thicker one, shorter fibers, but more dense, and then we'll lay that on. So we'll do 3 feathers for the head. Now we'll press them into our foam. All 3 can it be done with a little bit of work. So all 3 are in our foam. Get our clip. Oh, are they sitting okay? Yeah, sitting. No, they're not sitting okay. One's kind of poking up. We got to get them all flat. Okay. Clip it, remove it. Here we have 3 feathers clipped in. Trim it. And split it, spin it. If this doesn't reach the bead, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Okay. I can't thin it out too much because we want that material build up for the head just to give it a finished look. I'm gonna try to get as much as I can. I'm losing some feathers. And this spin, I don't want it spinning too fast. I want it controlled so I don't lose anything. I'm losing some already, I can tell. But if I wrap it, then maybe I can trap them again. Oh, buddy. Ooh, buddy. Actually, I know if this doesn't work, I can finish the head with 2 flat feathers on the side. I can do that. So all is not lost. Okay, wrap, preen, wrap, preen. Oh, it's working. Wrap, preen, wrap, preen, wrap, preen, wrap, preen. Now, finally, I don't want to have like a thread build up on the head. I think that looks terrible. So I'm gonna be conscientious of how much I'm wrapping the thread. Total 1.5 inches. Well, 9 feathers for an 1.5 inch fly. A little bit ridiculous, but it's an experience. Maybe 2 more wraps. That's it. So minimum thread buildup on the head. No flash. Pheasant. 2 shanks. Now that thread is building up too much because of the whip finishes. But the chartreuse isn't a bad look. Could be worse. Better than like black thread buildup. All right, there it is. That is a jigged feather 3-piece game changer. When it's wet, it'll look good. The tail is wet, is extraordinarily too stubby, and then if the body was heavier, it'd look better. But it was just so difficult working with the feathers. But yeah, it's got a little wiggle. It'll work. Okay, back to the original. So the original was a split zonker strip, bling strip, that was threaded on a hook, and then we did a mylar body, coated, and now we're gonna build the head. We'll do the mission for this. So this one is very material heavy. No, this one is even more material heavy. This one is using Fox, and this is going to sink very slowly. The material breathes well. It looks great in the water. Fox is a good material for streamers, but this one is quite material heavy. This one is feather. Are they the same length? No, the feather's a little bit longer. This one is feather. It'll sink better. It might have good action. This would be like your sculpin type pattern because of the coloration, and then the width of the body. But we want the mission for this one is slim, minimal, slim, just enough. That's our hope. And I think a nice olive. This is a nice webby olive saddle will work. Before we do that, we'll do some legs, brown rubber. on the sides. Combo brown rubber, black rubber. Combo brown rubber, orange rubber, black rubber. I don't know. Yellow rubber. Depends what we can find here. Here's some brown rubber. I think 2 on each side is enough. Yeah, that's 2. Oh, we need thread. Go with the chartreuse again. And we'll just do the tie-in point just here at the top. I like to do the rubber toward the bottom. So on the sides, but toward the bottom, I think is good. And then slightly longer than the tail. Having rubber arms less than the tail kind of defeats the purpose of having rubber on your fly. So slightly longer than the tail. Try to give it just a little bit of volume without wrapping any furs or things like that. So that's one side. Let's do the other side. We'll split the rubber later. There's the other side. Slightly longer than the tail. Good. Let's anchor those rubber legs in. Now we'll wrap the head. We have our saddle. It's not going to take much. We want long fiber, so we're going to tie it in butt first. And then preening as we wrap. Webby fibers stick together, so it's nice if you can kind of separate it a bit. Preening as we wrap. Everything is a variation of woolly bugger. Looks okay. One more wrap. I think we'll do it. Let's lock it in. Tighten with tension, lock it in, tighten with tension. I want the thread to kind of slide down the end of that bead. Give it a trim. Let's work on our collar, so we'll push these guys down a bit. And then we will continue with our wraps. That looks good. And one nice controlled wraps. And collar's still not sitting great, but good enough. A little bit of dubbing would help give the thread volume and push that. Yeah, we can. Let's do it. So that's the reason people do hotspots, is because it's the cheater's way of finishing a fly. Red hotspot, orange, purple hotspot. So a little bit of flash dubbing, loose dub onto the thread, just a rope, and then this will just push all of that material back. And then you can hide the thread wrap in the dubbing to get a really clean look. But that's the cheater's way of finishing the fly. That's why you see so many pheasant tails with dubbing toward the bead. I think they call it a Frenchie. finished. Let's pick out that collar just a bit to get some of that, utilize some of that flash. Just a bit, not too much. Yeah, there we go. That'll work. Okay. So we did it. There's our modified poacher, modified Chicago overcoat. Our legs are not even. Let's even them out. Let's split them. And you don't need the legs, to be honest. But yeah, there it is. Little jiggy streamer. Just the bling strip on the hook would be enough to catch a fish. Why we do this extra stuff, I don't know. But the translucent, the red will show up in the water, so that'll look nice. And then the other fly we did was a really janky, let me work on this a bit, frozen fox streamer, which didn't turn out the best, but it'll work. So we did a frozen fox with fox fur ice stub, and then we did our feather, 3-piece feather jigged game changer using pheasant. Yeah, that's enough for today. Ooh, check the time. All right, gotta go. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.